Number freaking one, I feel so goddamn vindicated for being suspicious of Evan. Thank you, Criminal Minds. Number two, I feel so goddamn vindicated for being suspicious of the Doctor. Thank you, Criminal Minds. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to the channel of Delusional Theories. Today I have potentially a delusional theory for you guys. Oh my god, I've been so sane and serious and like serious reviewer era that I haven't been giving you delusional theories, but here they come. And this episode was mainly about two things. One was Tara's emotional journey as she's knocking on the doors of heaven. We've seen this before with Elle, we've seen this with Emily, I think we've seen it as well with Hotch. I will not be breaking this down. If you want to experience Tara's emotional journey to fight for her life, watch the episode. The second thing that happened in this episode was the voit disciple lawyer shenanigans. And it was a goddamn mess because it always has to be a mess because we have to be on the edge of our seat trying to figure out the next clue. But I will break it down for you. Oh my god, that rhymed. And I will give you some little theories because I have my suspicions of who the disciple is or potentially who the disciples are. Let's start by breaking down this goddamn episode. I liked it. Last episode was better, but I have faith for the ending of the season. Criminal Minds, do not dare introduce another Frank Church 2 episodes to go. I'm counting on you for next episode, the suspect, the disciple, or one of the disciples to be revealed and to be someone we already saw. Criminal Minds. Do not do another Frank Church. I will be so pissed. But okay. This episode, we find out that the person who shot Tara and Evan was this dude, this criminal who had been on Voight's network and was expelled from Voight's network because he was putting in danger the secrecy of Voight's network. And like Gold Star, he leaves little bullets with little hearts on them because he's an incel, misogynistic idiot who thinks women are objects that he can't own. Whatever. They find this guy, and this guy turns out to have been something who was not arrested, but put in prison by Evan. So Evan knew this guy. And not only did Evan know this guy hesitated when he shot Evan. And at the end of the episode, the whole thing is Evan is innocent. The DNA that was accusing him was planted on the scene and Evan is on the right side of justice, but is he? Because if the heart bullet guy only hesitated to shoot Evan because he recognized him, why did he shoot him on the shoulder? Why didn't he shoot again? Why didn't he aim for the heart? Because, think about it. You are a criminal. You went to jail because a guy in the form of Evan sent you to jail. And now you are sent on this random mission to shoot a bunch of random people and steal some random files. And you see the guy who put you in jail. You get a little shocked in the beginning. Oh my god, that's the guy who put me in jail. And then you don't even stay to shoot him again when you failed the first time. You don't try to kill him. Because, Evan wasn't reaching for his gun. Tara wasn't reaching for her gun. Was Rebecca with her gun? I don't remember, but I don't think so. So this is suspicious to me to the max. But basically what happened, supposedly, is that the disciple hired this guy who Evan had put in prison before to shoot Evan, shoot whoever appeared there, and take the files that Evan had with him because there was some incriminating clue in them about the identity of the disciple. And then the disciple also hired this man to incriminate Evan so that Evan would not only go down for the shooting of Tara, but also go down for the shooting of the guy who shot Tara, because in the end, the guy who shot Tara, the heart bullet guy who Evan had put in prison previously, the guy who shot Tara, what a mess. He was found dead as well with Evan's DNA planted on it. So the whole conspiracy that the disciple supposedly created is that this guy who had a prior history with Evan shot Evan and Tara at the command of Evan because Evan wanted to steal Tara away. Not Tara, goddamn it. Wanted to steal Rebecca away from Tara. What a mess. And my final question is, why did he not kill Evan? Why? Why didn't he kill Evan? Why? Because we see the video. In the video, when the guy flees after shooting them, they're all still on the ground. They're all still on the ground. So he could have shot again. Why wouldn't he kill Evan when Evan was the one who put him away, even after he saw him and recognized him? Was he afraid that Evan was going to identify him? And if he was afraid, why didn't he shoot him? I mean, Evan couldn't have identified him because the guy was wearing a mask. I'll come back to this in a second, but bottom line is it was all organized by the disciple to incriminate Evan and kind of, send the BAU team on a few circles while the disciple plans the next moves. So that he's always ahead of the BAU team. And I mean, he does send the BAU team on a few circles, but only Tyler and I like this again. God damn it, Criminal Minds, you're doing a good job with Tyler because I like the idea that he created a theory that he, had the capacity to create this theory around Evan that with the evidence that he had, that he orchestrated this whole thing to steal Rebecca away from Tara. I like that he could spot the superficial, theory, but then was wrong in the end because he's still inexperienced and he still falls for these things. I enjoy that very much. Okay. But this is like shenanigans number one with the disciple, that he did all of this to incriminate Evan and, have more time to figure out his next move while the BAU team is running around their own heads. I don't know these English expressions, okay? Just go with it. But the fundamental reason for this attack, regardless of the distraction around it, is the files that Evan had that the shotter stole from him, which are the voit files, and clearly potentially have the clue to identify who the disciple is. And another part of these shenanigans is Voight's new lawyer. Now we saw Voight's I'm assuming it's still the god same lawyer. At this point, I don't know how many lawyers does this man have, but we saw this new lawyer last episode. He was presented as kind of, incompetent lawyer. Voight doesn't even actually use them because when the lawyer proposes a deal for Voight to help the BAU, Voight is like, no, that's not right. I don't want a deal. I'll just help them from the kindness of my heart. Me, the serial killer. So this lawyer in this episode is found dead. And he's found dead by the police because they have a warrant to search his office or whatever. And we even have Rossi saying, I don't trust anyone who is willing to represent Voight. So what's the deal with this lawyer? And they find him dead and he has a mask on him. And the mask is where Evan's DNA comes from to confirm that he's behind all the shenanigans and whatever. But we know by now that there was planted there and the disciple was the one who killed the lawyer. Why did the disciple kill the lawyer? Well, if you remember from last episode, this lawyer is meant to be an idiot. However, this lawyer also told Voight, trust me, trust my process. I know what I'm doing. I know it doesn't look like it, but I do. And you know what I think happened? I think we had the equivalent to Pretty Little Liars' Dr. Sullivan. Okay, the lawyer, Voight's lawyer, who is supposed to be incompetent or an idiot or whatever the hell it is, figured out who the disciple was. That's what it is. And the disciple found out, or he was, paying attention to the lawyer or whatever, and that's why he killed him. Because the lawyer knew who the disciple was. The lawyer was like delving into Voight's files because he freaking has to as his lawyer, and he figured it out. And he was the first person who knew who the disciple was, and the disciple had him killed. This is what I'm thinking right now because we don't have another explanation from the show. We only learned that the lawyer died and had a mask on him. Like the death of the lawyer is used to incriminate Evan, but they never really explore it further. So the lawyer must have known something because Evan could have been incriminated in other ways. Potentially when his DNA was found, with the dead body of the person who shot him or something. So I think the lawyer, Voight's lawyer, knew who the disciple was. Maybe, I don't know if he would have gotten in contact with him or if he would have told someone. Maybe the disciple was spying on him because clearly the disciple is like 100 steps ahead of everyone else. And this is what the BAU team is feeling as well. So I think that the lawyer knew that's why he got killed, because the disciple needs to control all loose ends. And then the whole thing with Evan was, on one hand, to distract the BAU, but also to take those goddamn files that incriminate him, potentially the same information that was with Voight's lawyer who was killed. And this is the disciple shenanigans from this episode. Bottom line is, the way to find out who the disciple is already in the goddamn files, is already in the case. Do I think we have enough clues to figure out who it is? It depends on the move that Criminal Minds is going to pull on us. Are they going to reveal that someone we already saw is a disciple? Or are they going to introduce a completely new character on the fashion of Frank Church, who I loaded as a disciple? Let's see. However, I was kind of thinking about this, because if you haven't seen my recaps of Voight season and the Gold Star season, I have watched these 2 seasons of television so many freaking times. Enough times that I've made hour-long recaps of them, okay? So I know what happened with the Maria Jones case. This was one of Cyrus's victims. Cyrus was Voight's uncle. He was a serial killer before Voight went to live with him after Voight killed his parents on a fire. God damn it, the fire. I thought the fire wasn't explored at all. I thought Voight's parents died, like, falling off a bridge or something. I think I just imagined the Vampire Diaries scene. But no, Voight's parents died in a fire, potentially a fire created by Voight, and Voight killed his own parents. Voight went to live with Cyrus. Cyrus is his uncle, and he's a serial killer, and he taught Voight everything he knows. He tortured Voight as a child, and then he turned him into a serial killer. And one of the last victims that they shared, I think the last victim that they shared, was Maria Jones. Maria Jones was captive in the cabin where Cyrus and Voight lived. And Voight was freeing her. Like, she appealed to him, to a teenager Voight, like 16, 17, 18-year-old Voight, and Voight was freeing her. She attacked him. Cyrus came and he killed Maria to save Voight. Save. He should have been attacked and she should have left. Anyway, that's how Maria died. And then, way back when, Maria's body was never found. Maria's body was found in Cyrus's cabin years later, when Voight went back to kill Cyrus and the police found him dead and did a search of his cabin and found blood from everyone and found one corpse, Maria, the last victim he shared with Voight. And at the time when they killed Maria, Cyrus had someone to put the blame on. Like, he had someone to blame for Maria's, not even murder, disappearance, because I don't think they had her body, so they had to conclude that she was dead. And the person who was blamed for Maria's death was Silvio Herrero. Silvio Herrero, I think, was a member of a gang locally, or was, around gang members. And he was a very easy target because he didn't have a alibi. I mean, he had a alibi, but his alibi was his boyfriend. And being like in the early 2000s, I think, in a gang, in a criminal background place, he couldn't exactly say that his alibi was his boyfriend. So he went to jail because he didn't want to come out as gay. He went to jail for like 20 years or something like that, being falsely accused of killing Maria Jones, who was actually killed by Cyrus and Voight. I don't remember exactly if Cyrus ever tells us how he knows this and how he was able to blame Silvio Herrero. I will, in the meantime, do a rewatch and maybe come up with a few theories about that. But the person who did the prosecution of the case of Silvio Herrero back then was Rebecca. Yes, our Rebecca, currently fiancé of Tara. And this is the only thing that links both Voight, Rebecca, and Tara, and potentially Evan, because they're not thinking about this, right? They're not thinking about the Evan connection. But I mean, we know that this was Rebecca's, I think, either first case or first big case. She was a young lawyer back then. And we know that Evan went to college with Rebecca. So they were at the same position in their careers. They were both beginners and starting to work these cases. And they both work for the public system. So they were both working this type of cases back then. Where was Evan? Could Evan have been there? Could Evan have been behind this blaming of Silvio Herrero? Because this is what I'm thinking. Who could be the person that could be connected to this case? Could have been back there, could have known about Silvio, could have, even helped incriminate Silvio. Who could have been there? And it has to be either one of the lawyers working in the case or around the case or in the city, or the police people, the police officers that were working there at the time, or detectives that were working there at the time. It has to be someone with enough power, with enough knowledge, with enough in on the police industry to be able to manipulate things like this. And I mean, Cyrus was never caught, right? Cyrus was never caught, and he had all of these rules and whatever, but you kind of also have to wonder, how did he learn them? Because we know that Voight learned these rules from Cyrus, never kill close to home, dispose of the body in a way that it can't be found, erase all the clues and whatever. He learned all of this from Cyrus. Who did Cyrus learn it from? Right? Like, at this point, the fact that Cyrus was so knowledgeable of how to avoid law enforcement or how to avoid being caught, the fact that he, had enough knowledge to know who to blame or how to deviate blame on himself, because Cyrus was a suspect in Maria's murder, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly. I have to rewatch those part of the show. But he never got caught. His whole life, he never got caught. I mean, isn't it plausible that he had someone on the inside, someone who he knew either in the police, the detective force, the lawyers of the city? Isn't it plausible that he had an accomplice, someone who hid his crimes, maybe potentially someone that Cyrus also procured victims for or something like that? Isn't it plausible that the person, the disciple, whoever is behind all of this, knew Cyrus back then because he was his buddy and he was helping him, I don't know, like, avoid being caught by all of these murders? I mean, even today, because then in the episode, we cut to 2 weeks later, after Emily and Rossi already put out the order to get, all the possible loose ends on Cyrus and everything related to Cyrus and everything related to Maria and Silvio Herrera's case. They investigate every little thing, every little loose end, and they do this via Evan. Evan is the one who goes around and does all this investigation, and they find nothing. And they are even, escalating the investigation to surrounding areas and to little, traffic violations and stuff like that. They want to catch him on anything, to have a clue to investigate anything. And nothing is coming up. Nothing. This was a serial killer who operated for decades and nothing is coming up. You cannot tell me that there's no one in the police force around there handling the documentation, handling the records of everything, hiding everything that could point towards them. You cannot tell me that. And it's either this person within the police force is an accomplice and wants to hide the tracks of their accomplice with Cyrus, or it's the actual goddamn disciple. Because think about it. Wouldn't it be plausible that a person to be this successful at avoiding being caught, at manipulating the BAU, isn't it plausible that it had to be someone within the police force, a detective, an FBI agent, something like that, who knows how to play these people? Honestly, my suspects right now include the doctor, I will talk about it in a second, Evan, and goddamn Rebecca. Listen. I kind of like Rebecca, okay? I like her. I think she's okay. She's funny. She's a good, she treats Tara well. I like her, okay? But come on, how cool would it be? Because it all leads back to then. She was the one who, puts Silvio behind bars. She was the one. Couldn't it lead back to that? Couldn't it? I know this is loose because she's engaged to Tara and whatever, but I mean, honestly, another thing, because last season, the creators of Criminal Minds, they were like, Tara is gonna go through it next season. And I mean, she has. for one episode. Last season, Rossi went through it the whole season. He was hallucinating and losing his shit the whole season. And sure, there was one episode, episode 4, if I'm not mistaken, where he went through it the most, where his hallucinations were really good. But it was the whole season. This season, Tara went through it one episode and now she's engaged and happy. Come on. Would that not be cool? Oh my God, my phone is full. Would it not be cool that Rebecca is behind this and Rebecca is a disciple? I think that would be really cool. But yeah, apart from Rebecca, my suspects right now are Evan, the doctor, and some, person who will be introduced in the next episode that is like in law enforcement or, with the city lawyers for that place where Cyrus lived, or like a detective or an FBI agent of that place, someone with connections, someone that could withhold the paperwork that would incriminate themselves. So this is my fourth suspect, apart from the doctor, Evan and Rebecca. Let's see. However, the doctor, because I feel so vindicated, because Rossi and Emily are like, this could be someone in the hospital. This could be someone close to Voit. And he concludes this by the fact that they showed Voit Cyrus's deep fake. So they must have had some understanding that Voigt's memories are coming back through him being, with the person he had shared memories with. So they did the deep fake so that Voigt's memories of Cyrus would come back. So they're thinking someone in the hospital must know about this. And I mean, we knew. And I'm still on the doctor's trail. There's no way they introduced a character who is so prominent on the show and it's not going to turn out into anything. And I mean, it could be one of those things where at the end her life is in danger or something, or she's threatened or something and whatever. But it could also be that she's the disciple. Come on. Who else? This is the only shot, because right now I think that we are all on the bandwagon of Voight lost his memory for good. But if there's any hope, that Voight did not lose his memory, if there's any hope that Voight has been faking this all along, it is the doctor. There is no one else. It is the doctor. However, if the doctor is not the person in the hospital who has been infiltrating the investigation, it's going to be another Frank Church situation where they just introduce a character in the second to last episode and that's the person, whatever. And if it's not a disciple working in the hospital, it's going to be someone like some lower ranking serial killer on the network. This is such a strange sentence to say. But yeah, these are my two theories. Either the doctor is a disciple and Voight has been faking it all along, or it's some low ranking member of the network that is working around the hospital and spying, and he or she knows whatever information the doctors know as well. However, I now want to talk about the future episodes, because this is what I wanted last season. I wanted the team to be drained, tired, sick of this shit, sick of Voight. Like the way that Emily, when the episode was happening and she was like, you know what I'm tired of? And I immediately said, oh, Voight. And then Voight happened and then Voight appeared and she was like, yep, Voight. Like the way that I can read her mind. But this is what I wanted last season. And I said in my reviews, I wanted them to be exhausted, to be drained, to be out of resources, because this is when Reid is coming back, because we haven't seen that shot. I'm going to rewatch the trailer just to check, just to verify. But we haven't seen that shot of the dude with the vest at the BAU. And we know this dude is not going to be Voight because we see Voight dressed in normal clothing. And Voight does not wear vests, okay? He wears normal rich dad clothes. But there's this goddamn shot of a person in a vest being admired by all the agents at the BAU, and you cannot convince me that Reid is not coming back again. You can't convince me. And the team is drained. As far as we know it, there are no clues leading back to whoever this person in Rebecca, Tara's, Voight's, Maria's, Cyrus's shared past is. You cannot convince me that Reid is not going to come back to help the team figure this shit out. You cannot convince me. He will be back. Point one. Point two. Emily is sick and tired of this shit. She's sick and tired of Voight, and we are getting close to seeing the scene on the trailer where Rossi is messing up Voight and being aggressive towards Voight and interrogating Voight to try to figure out who this disciple is, because Voight, it has to be in his memory. Like, Voight knows who this person is. He knows who he is. He has to remember it. So whether Voight is faking it or whether his memory is actually back, they are going to interrogate him like Morgan style soon. Next episode, probably, because if they have no clues from the investigation where Cyrus used to live, they have to go to the source. They have to go to Voight. So that's when we're going to see the scenes of him being hardcore interrogated. And then, whether they catch the disciple or not, I hope not, at the end of the season, we're going to see Voight going to prison, which the doctor already approached in this episode. She was talking to him, you have to start thinking about this. You have to start thinking about the possibility that you will be going to prison for these crimes. And I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if she was a disciple and she's the one talking to him about it and making him be afraid of it and potentially getting him into a plot of escaping while he's en route? Because we see this. We see him on a bus, strangling someone, en route to somewhere. So that could be when they free him, when they, put into practice a plan to free him from going to jail, from going to prison, en route to the prison where he strangles someone, because by then everyone knows who he is and they're fearing him. So I think this could happen. I think at this point, both could happen. This memory could be completely gone and having been restored this whole time, and eventually him going to prison and feeling himself again and feeling the urge to strangle someone again, or him always having his memory or recovering it way faster than we think and arranging a plan to escape prison. Regardless, you can tell by the length of this video, I'm looking at the time, it's like half an hour recording. I'm enjoying this season. I cannot believe they're actually finding their footing with this type of show that is very different from the OG Criminal Minds, and I'm enjoying it tremendously. So yeah, let me know what your theories are in the comments. I need you guys to put your detective hats on and help me with this shit, because I cannot figure it out by myself. Comments. My ideas always brew a lot more when you guys comment and engage and interact, because then I can also think on different perspectives and I can also notice details I haven't noticed before, because I know you have. So comment and let's talk about it. And I will see you again, for Criminal Minds next week. Actually, I may have an additional extra video coming along, because when I was watching this episode, I had an idea. Because if you've been here for a while, you know that sometimes I like to rewrite parts of the show that I don't like. And I had an idea for something they could do, because they already have another season coming. And I think they could do as many as they want, because the audience will be here. I know I am. And I have an idea for a couple of seasons that they could do that would be really cool. So I think I might do a video about that, explaining it to you and seeing what you think. But yeah, my mission on this channel is always to get hired by the Criminal Minds writing team. Hire me. I can't go to the US because I'm a woke, leftist, intersectional, feminist bitch. But I can go to Canada. Hire me. And I will see you guys probably today, because I'm making a review of Countdown. Bye.